And for a bit of fun, but goodness knows they take it very seriously.
We didn't take it seriously.
Very, very seriously.
We teased at 6:35 that we'd get Gary to start with to pick his combined Manchester United 99 treble winning side with this current Manchester City group. And this is what Gary has come up with. Spot the City players.
No. There's two things. The reason I'm picking this team is because this is the team that has done the treble and City haven't yet. So I think the first thing we should do is let's wait for the next few weeks, and when they've done it, then maybe we can start to integrate them. I have got a second team that I've selected, but what I'm going to do is wait for his disrespect. I'm going to wait for his disrespectful team first before because to be fair, I wouldn't swap any of those lads that played me and the sub on the bench, by the way. If I was picking a Norwegian, I'd pick Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, not Haaland. So for me, them lads are like brothers.
Well,
like, you
listen,
know what I mean?
I think what that shows is that this morning, you know, when we heard him, Martin Keown was right about you, wasn't he?
Big Martin. Are you all right, Martin?
Come on. Clearly not. Let's have a look at your team then, Jamie.
Come on, where is he?
Bit more balance here then.
Yeah,
so you've
a
got
bit more
5
balance
from United and 6 have knocked out United players. You better start at right back, I think.
Yeah, listen, the reason I've combined these teams, this wasn't on who's the best player in the whole career. It was just on that season. That's how I judged it, just on that season. I just went for Kyle Walker. I thought he just had the edge on Gary's performances in the 98-99 season. And the other one was obviously Grealish, but I don't think Ryan Giggs had that famous goal, obviously. But I just think Grealish has got better numbers. I've got the stats. Where are they? Grealish has got 5 goals, 7 assists. Giggs had 3 goals, 1 assist in that season. That's why I've gone for him, of course, in the league. But of course, Ryan Giggs is a better player than Grealish. I get that. Overall career, but in terms of that season, I've gone for that. And you can't not pick De Bruyne and Haaland.
So what happened on Gundogan v Scholes?
I didn't think Scholes was a regular in that team at that time.
But you've just gone off goals and assists on Gundogan, off Giggs and Grealish.
Well, he's a wide player. He's a wide player, isn't he?
Well, Scholes had 21 goals and assists that season from central midfield and played 51 matches. What part of that season did he not play? I mean, look, to be fair...
I remember him coming on sub in Juventus, coming on sub in Inter Milan.
Yeah, I'm not going to entertain... I love Jack Grealish, I love Gundogan, but I'm not entertaining the conversation around Ryan Giggs over Jack Grealish or Paul Scholes and Gundogan.
Just on that one season?
I'm not entertaining the conversation.
But what about De Bruyne and Haaland?
Look, Haaland scored 52 goals. So the fact of the matter is, that is unbelievable. It's absolutely sensational. I had done it in a second team. I felt as though I was being disrespectful to Yorkie and Coley. Yorkie's record that season, I think he had something like 20 assists and 29 goals. It was unbelievable, amazing record. So Yorkie, to be fair, has more assists and goals than De Bruyne all season. Obviously, Haaland's got more goals than Coley. So, but I felt I was being harsh. Look, if you're being objective, which I don't want to be in this company, you'd put... No, I don't, because the reality is disrespectful. You put De Bruyne and Haaland, they're world-class players.
Let's have a look at this. Let's have the compromised 11.
The compromised 11 was that basically I wasn't picking a right back because I thought... I said I'd go with whoever Carragher picks, and he's picked Kyle Walker. So Kyle Walker should go...
You picked yourself a few days ago.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I played 55 games that season. I thought I had a decent season. But to be fair, I'm happy to go with Kyle Walker because I think he's a brilliant defender. And the way in which he handles Vinicius and other players, I think, deserves massive respect. De Bruyne and Haaland, to be fair, you cannot deny those two players are two of the greatest football players. Well, probably the best young player we've ever seen in the Premier League in Haaland. What he's done this season is off the scale and probably will never be repeated for years. De Bruyne is potentially one of the greatest midfield players that we've seen in the league. So I think in being respectful and objective, those two players would come in. I think myself at right back, Diaz is a world-class centre-back, and Ronnie Johnson I absolutely love, but sometimes he had injuries, Ronnie. I don't want to be disrespectful to any of the lads that I played with, but they were the only ones. I mean, Scholes and that midfield, by the way, Beckham, Scholes, Keane and Giggs, I'm not even entertaining from anybody. That's the greatest midfield that's ever played football in this country, bar none. There isn't anybody can ever, honestly, that there's no one comes close when it comes to a midfield quartet like that. They had absolutely everything. And that, to me, I have to say, is my selection.
Who do you think it's been in a game?
Well, if it was a neutral venue, what would how would that work out?
Do you know what I would say is that City's football you can't deny. But then, obviously, we played against obviously good teams that that we could play football. I think that my view would be that we'd find a way somehow with the character in the team. I think we have maybe better options off the bench to come on potentially and score goals up front with the 4 strikers. City have got Haaland, but then behind that, they maybe don't need anyone behind that, but they've got Alvarez, which is he's a good player, fantastic player, but I think we have better strikers, so I think we'd find a way. We'd probably have to do it in a different way than probably City would, but do
you think there's anything in the fact that how many points you got in terms of winning titles there compared to what City get? Do you think that is anything? You got 79 points that season. This City team always get over 90.
Yeah, and look, I don't know what's happened in terms of, obviously, the standards of the points that Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool and Manchester City got are absolutely out of this world. And I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, but the game was tougher back then and that we were playing against tougher teams. I don't think that. I think that generally the teams that are playing now and the teams in the league, but it just wasn't like that back then. I think Jose Mourinho changed it, actually. Jose Mourinho, his first season, got up to 90-odd points, I think, or one of the first 2 seasons. And that was like a shock to us at the time. We're thinking, hang on a minute, we used to be able to relax until Christmas and then just, start to kick in. Jose Mourinho went from the first minute and then started to raise the bar. We lifted ourselves. I'd like to think that we'd lift our game to that level that we were playing at. I think the players in that squad that we had were that good.
You know when you said you'd find a way, and I get obviously I played against that team, and that was the great thing about how many times they came back. He came back against us in an FA Cup game, 2 goals in the last minute. You did that consistently through the season. When you're saying you'd find a way, we're still talking about Pep Guardiola. In terms of, don't you think he'd find a way? Because I think most United fans would say, even though we're talking about the treble team, the 2008 team, 7, 8, 9 team is maybe even like a level above. I don't know if I'm sure you think what I'm saying is that his Barcelona team is better than the Man City team, but he found a way to beat the best Manchester United. And do you think he'd be thinking, well, I could find a way as well?
100%. I mean, Pep Guardiola would, I think, against Alex Ferguson in the prime would be an absolute unbelievable contest. What I would say is that in 2008 we found a way to beat Barcelona. That was against Frank Rijkaard. But then Pep Guardiola had the better of us twice at Wembley, 2009 and 11. What I would say is that Barcelona team that Pep had in that period was the greatest football team I've ever seen. So that's, take our treble team into the consideration and everything. They were the greatest football team I've ever seen. And Messi was something out of this world. So for me, with that team that he had, he could do anything he wanted to, Pep. What he's since found, though, at Bayern Munich and at Manchester City is that he's lost games against Spurs, against Real Madrid, against other teams that you would think that he would have beaten, Chelsea in the final. Pep Guardiola's lost to. So I think that from my point of view, what we've got to judge Pep on in respect of this team is the team he's got now and the struggles he's had in the last few years to win the Champions League. We had struggles at times to win the Champions League as well. So I don't think we should compare Pep in that period at Barcelona because that was just an exceptional team that I don't think ever been matched. But the team he's had at City in this last few years should have won the Champions League before now.
You get to choose the right back. Are you sticking with your choice?
Put him back in, come on. He's had a bad night.
Just something.
He's had a bad night.
I thought you might have put John Stones in, to be fair, the way he's playing for City at right back going into midfield. He's been unbelievable.
No. Listen, I do think, John
Stones has transformed the season.
But deadly serious, you're spoken about as, best right back in the Premier League. We've seen over the years you've had great success at Manchester United, but I do think Kyle Walker runs that very close. I think he has spoken about not as highly as he should be. We always talk about him making defensive mistakes, but even watching him yesterday, I think he's a fantastic player. So I think it's a toss of a coin.
I absolutely agree. For me, when I look at Kyle play, Kyle can do things that I could never do. So, for instance, if you had Mbappe in a World Cup quarter-final, Kyle really played well against him. I think I'd have struggled against Mbappe badly. Just purely for pace. Maybe I wouldn't as much as I think, but your relative is the way in which he matches Vinicius Junior, the way in which he matches Mbappe is absolutely brilliant. I think I understood my position a little bit better than Kyle in terms of where to be on the pitch, and that might have compensated for such things. But when I look at some of these lads now, the amount of exposure they get against one-on-ones, which I think in the modern game, it's a lot. I think that I would have struggled in some of these matches, to be fair. And Kyle is unbelievable in those matches against the best players in the world in that position at left wing.
We'll get your free kick reel out next week. Compare it to Trent Alexander-Arnold. That'd be good. I just love it. 24 years on, and you can see he grits his teeth when he's talking about his team still. It's brilliant. Good.
No, but to be fair, that team has done something that no one has ever done in English football history. So the reason I picked all of them to start with is because they've done something that Manchester City... In a few weeks, we could maybe start to think about if Haaland and De Bruyne have done it, and then obviously Diaz has done it, then maybe you can start to think about objectively, they've scored 60 goals, Haaland. How can you not have him in? De Bruyne...
Has anyone texted you yet? Group chat? That's 92?
Not texted me since 1999.